The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Hey everyone, how are you all doing today? Welcome along to the webinar. How is everyone? If I could just get a quick sound and screen check, so you should all be able to see a getting started webinar funnel in Convertri, and can you all hear me okay? Excellent. Okay, so just a quick introduction then. My name is Dan, and I'll be taking you through today's webinar. This is, if I go to our About page, this is me here, just to put a face to my name. So I'm usually hanging out in the support desk or the Facebook group, helping people with any problems that they have with Convertri. And hopefully today we can do the same for you guys. So if I could just, before we get going, ask you all to just drop in the chat on a scale of 1 to 10, how familiar you think you are with Convertri. So if 1 is you've barely looked at it, and 10 being you're an expert, how well versed do you guys think you are in Convertri? Just drop that in the chat for me before we get going. That'd be great. Okay, we've got a 4 from Louis, a couple of 3s, 2, 5. Yeah, so that's the level we'd sort of expect on these webinars. And I mean, they are pretty much built for any level of user in mind. There's going to be things that some of you might have seen already. There's probably going to be things that you might not even know exist in Convertri. So I'll just do a brief overview of what we're going to go through today. So we're going to start off by building a simple lead funnel in Convertri from start to finish, so that we'll end up with a page that looks a little bit like this one here. And what this will allow you to do is that you have a live funnel. So when someone wants to sign up for your lead magnet, they'll come to your page, drop in their details, their email address, hit the download now button, and then they'll be taken to a thank you page. And meanwhile, they'll have been added to your autoresponder list. So you'll be able to send them marketing emails, and they'll be taken to that thank you page so they can download the lead magnet. So that is a complete working lead generation funnel. And then after that, I'm going to show you in the Convertri editor some of my favorite little sort of tips and tricks to help you save time while you're using Convertri. Some things that would be really useful for anyone just starting out, and they're also going to make your page building experience a lot smoother. So one of the main things that I'll cover in that section is how to make a page that is basically perfectly built in the desktop mode, so that our mobile algorithm transforms it to a mobile page nice and easily, and you don't have to make any changes yourself. So we'll be covering that at the end. After we've done the first demo where I've made the funnel, we'll have a brief question and answer session on that. If anyone's got any questions about that specific demonstration or anything they want me to go through again, we'll do that. And then if there's any more general questions just about the app or anything like that, if you save those for the end, we'll go through and have a more general Q&A session at the very end of the show. Okay, so without further ado then, let's get started. So the first thing that we want to do is make our page. So we're in our funnel and we want to make a new page. So we hit this blue new page button. And as you can see, these are all the Convertri templates that are included with your access. There's loads, they're all beautifully designed by our own design team. However, we're not actually going to be using one of these today. We are going to create a page from scratch. And the reason for this, one, is because I obviously want to show you the whole process. And two, it's because really it is actually quite fun to make pages in Convertri. So we want to show you the full experience and show you everything that can be done in our page builder. So we'll hit create page from scratch. and then it's just going to ask us to name our page. So we'll just call it opt-in, as this is going to be the page where our prospects opt in. So once you've done that, you can see it's now in the funnel. To go into the editor, you just hit edit page, and that will load Convertri's editor. So we're in the page builder now, and you can see we've got our blank screen here. This is completely from scratch now. And the first thing that we want to do is add our background image to our page. So if you can see on the demo page here, we have this lady. This is our background image, and we want to get that on first so that we can start building out the rest of the page. So in this elements tray on the left-hand side, this is where you add all of your elements to the page, and what we want is an image. So we select the image page, and as you can see, you've got a variety of options here. You've got your home folder, and this contains all the images that you've uploaded in the past. And you've also got this option to search Pixabay. And I'll just run through what this is now. So this is our integration built into Convertri with Pixabay that basically allows you to search for an image, and it pulls it straight from Pixabay, which is a image using service. You can use their stock photos for free. You don't need a subscription. So with this integration, you can basically search for anything you want, and it will pull these up direct from Pixabay. So if someone could just give me like an object, type an object in the chat, and I'll just have a little look for you and demo this so you can see how exactly it works. So someone said a table. So let's search table. And as you can see, it's come up here with a variety of different images relating to the word table. And these will all be taken straight from pixabay.com. So if you were to go to their website and type in table, it'd bring up pretty much the same selection of images. And this is all built into Convertri. So if you wanted to add one from here, you can obviously do that for free. You don't need any subscription, as I said. But the one caveat with that is the max resolution for these pictures is 1920 by 1280. And this obviously limits you slightly to image quality. And because Convertri is so fast and the page loading speed is so quick, it doesn't actually make a difference if your resolution for your images is higher than that. So if you've got a larger image, you may as well upload it into Convertri yourself, which is what I'm going to show you now. So out of the Pixabay section and back into image, and we'll go to our home folder, and you can see I've got the image here already. If I wanted to upload it from my files, I would click upload in the top right, and then I would choose it from my files on my computer. It's already here though, so I can just select it. And as you can see, the resolution is quite a lot higher than what the Pixabay integration would allow. So we're going to get the higher quality, and we're still going to have the load speed as well, which is what we're after. So we'll select that image now, and that's going to put it onto the page. Ronnie's asking, is there a sound problem? Is anyone else experiencing a sound difficulty at all? Or can everyone else hear me okay? Okay, it seems like it might be an issue on your end, Ronnie. So maybe if you try restarting or refreshing the webinar, that might help you out there. If not, I do apologize. Don't worry though, there will be a replay of this going live within the next, I'd say like 3 or 4 days. It'll be the beginning of next week at the latest. And we've got a couple questions, one from Jerry. Can you make a website in Convertri and create menu tabs with links for different sales pages? Yeah, you can do that with our menu element here. What I'll do is we'll get this lead funnel demo done, and then I'll demonstrate the menu feature after that. And another question come in here, can Convertri be used to create landing and thank you pages? If so, how? Well, luckily that is exactly what we are going to show you now. So I'll crack on with this demo and you can see how that's done. So we've got our background image now, and while we're talking about images, someone's asked if it's possible to rotate images. This isn't a feature we've currently got in Convertri, but I do know it is something that we've been talking about introducing, so it's probably in our queue, the dev to-do list. So don't worry, we are aware that that is something that people are keen to have implemented, but at the moment you'd need to have it rotated before you put it into Convertri. So for example, if you wanted this image to be flipped to the side, you'd have to do that beforehand, save it, and then put it in Convertri afterwards. Okay, so we want this image here to be a background, so we need to get it to the fit the whole screen. So we click this double-headed arrow on this top toolbar, and that is going to make it full width. And once we've done that, we can resize it so that it fits the whole screen. So we can use the arrows to snap it to the top, and then we can drag it down so that it fills the page like so. And now we've got our background image. Once we've done that, the two panels that you can see on our demo page, one is used for the privacy policy, the other one is mainly for design purposes, gives the page just a nice start and finish to it. We can add these simply by using the panel element. So we'll drag this onto our page from the elements tray. And once again, we're using the full width tool to make that the whole width of the page like so. And then we resize again with the arrows, and then we just drag it to the top like so. And the next thing that we want to do with this is change its color. So we come into our element properties here. So let's say they weren't already open. We'd select the element we wanted, click element properties from this blue button, and then on background, we would be able to choose our color. So we open the color picker. And one thing that's really cool about Convertri, it makes it a lot easier when designing, is you've got this live color picker. So while you're changing the color, it's actually doing that on the live page as well. So as you can see, we can compare different shades without having to set it, wait for it to load, wait for it to be applied, and then change it again. We can do all this as we are going through. So if I change it to like a bluey color, you can see it's changing the darkness and the shades on the page. That's really useful when you're designing pages. And we also have these RGB values, which basically means if you've got a shade that you really like from one page, you can actually get those exact values and copy it to another page, and that will give you the exact same color. So if you wanted to use this exact shade on another page on a similar element, you could just take these numbers, either hit Control-C or just write them down, and then go into the element properties for the other element and apply that in this section here. Now for this example, we're going to go for a sort of beigey color, something like that. Looks quite nice. So we just hit select when we're happy with that. And then instead of making a new panel from the tray, we have our panel selected and we hit the clone button from this top toolbar, and that will make an exact replica of that element. And then again, we can drag that down to the bottom, and we can use these pink snap lines to see once we've hit the end of our background image element. So we've now got the top and bottom panels. The next thing that we need to do is add the panel in this area of the page where our sign up form is going to be displayed. So once again, we drag the panel over and we can resize it. For now, it doesn't really matter how large it is. We can do this again at a later time. We'll get it to about that for now. And then we've got now this backing panel. We need to add our text. So you can see here we've got our copy, our title. We're telling our users what it's about. So we use our text element, and I'll just get all this written in now. So we've got 7 top tips for slimming without starving. And then we have the main body text, and I'm going to write this in now. And I assure you, I'm not doing this from memory. I have got this written down next to me. Sometimes in these demonstrations, people think that I just have an exceptional memory, which is not the case. I've got it right next to me here, so it's a lot easier. Okay, and we've actually got a question about the text while we're doing this. Someone's asked, can you not copy and paste? You can copy and paste it. I just like to get it all typed out, just give people a bit of time to, process what we've shown so far, but you can copy and paste. So if we wanted to copy this text, you could highlight it, Control C obviously to copy. You can't actually right click in Convertri, so you'd have to use your keyboard shortcut, which would be Control V like so. And obviously that then pastes it in. The reason that we don't really do that, again, as I say, it gives people a bit of time, but also you can see it's, when I paste it in there, it's changed the font, which I like to show you as part of the process when we're building out these pages. So we'll just get it typed in for now. And finally, the last bit is the spam text. I'm never going to spam you. And the spam text, it's not actually like a legal requirement to have on your pages, but we just have it there. It's quite a good idea, a bit of reassurance for your prospects. And also it just looks a bit more professional that you aren't intending to use anyone's details for any malicious purposes. So it might be a good idea just to have a little bit of text like this if you're making a similar funnel. So we've got our text in now, and one thing we need to do is set up our default text styles for the page. And what this does is it basically means every time you add a text element, the font and the size, the weight, the look of your text is set by default, so you don't have to change it for each text box. So you can see at the moment we've got it to Roboto on 16, but we want to change this. But what we want to do is change it for all the rest of the text elements on the page as well, and any we add in the future. So to do this, we go to our page option here and then click default text styles, and you can see we've got the same options to edit our text. Now, if you watch closely behind, you'll see this change as I make a change here. So we change it from Roboto. Let's change it to Lato. And if you just saw there, it's switched the font now for all these text elements below, because they're already set to the paragraph option, and that is what we're changing. This change has been applied to these elements. So we'll put it to 16, the same, and we'll change the line spacing slightly to 1.5, like so. And as you can see, these changes now have been made. And like I say, it's because these text elements are set to the paragraph option here. Now, we obviously want a heading option as well. So we're going to make that change now, and we're going to set that up. But even though this is our heading, because we've kept it on paragraph, when we make the change in the default text styles, it won't apply it automatically. We'll have to add the heading style to that text element afterwards. Now you can do it beforehand, but we'll just show you it both ways so you can see that the changes aren't applied unless you've set it pre your default text styles being set up. So we'll choose a different font from our main copy because we want that to stand out a little bit. We'll actually take this down slightly. 36 is quite large for a form of this size, so we'll go 24, and we'll leave the line spacing, etc. the same. So we'll hit done, and then we want this text element to be applied as a heading. So we've clicked more here, we've highlighted it, we've clicked more, and we'll hit heading 1, and as you can see now it's changed. So what the default text styles do basically is they set up the base font for your pages. So you can now, if I add a text element and I change it to heading, this is what it will look like. If I add a text element and leave it as paragraph, this is what it will look like here. Now we might want to make some small edits on a couple of the elements, like the details prompt. So we'll change the font size of that to 12, and the same for our spam text. But obviously this just shows that you can still edit individually, but the default style just allows you to make wholesale changes all in one go. So we've got all our information on the page now. We just need to add our form elements, and this is the elements that allow your prospects to sign up to your list. So these are obviously very important. So you go to the form elements option and you hit first name, drag that on like so, and then email like so, and finally the submit button like so. So we've got those on the page now. before we sort this out so that it's not looking such a mess like it is at the moment, we need to set the styles for these buttons. And that is because you can't actually set default styles for form element buttons. So you have to make the changes individually. So we'll do that now. So our submit button first. We want that to stand out a bit and we want it to be similar style to our heading. So we'll go into element properties, general, and then we're changing it to Noto Sans. We'll make it bold and we'll give it about 22 and we'll change the label to download because essentially our prospects are going to be downloading something. And finally, our first name element, we want the input, the placeholder text to be first name as that's what we're asking for. And all we want to do is change the font to Lato to match our main text on the page. Similarly with email, we'll do the same for that. Okay, so we've got all that set up now. We just want to tidy this up a little bit first before we go any further with this. So we need to make sure that all of this is aligned properly. As you can see, some of the things are in the wrong order. So you can reorder it manually like so. You can move things around. So as you can see, I'm just making sure these are in the right order. And I've obviously left it a little bit skew width because I want to show you our alignment tools. So to do this, to make the most of this, you need to select the backing panel that's containing all of your elements. As you can see, these dashed lines here, that means that when I move this, they're all contained within it, so they're moving as well. Now I've selected the backing panel, which means that all of these essentially are selected as well. So I then come up to my alignment tools here, hit the drop down, and you can see I'm presented with a load of alignment options. The one we want is center align, as that is going to make all the elements within the panel go into the center of that panel. So I'll click that like so, and as you can see, they're automatically shifted into the middle. And lastly, what we want to do is these three form elements, you can see there isn't an even amount of space between them at the moment, but we want them to be evenly spread out just so it looks a lot more professional. So if I select those three, I'm holding shift and clicking on all three elements. And then I go back to my alignment tools and distribute vertically. You can see it's nudged the email up just enough so that it's given its even space between all three, like so. So now our form is looking a lot better. What we want to do is just center align this text like so. And now this is looking much more presentable. It's not as messy, and it's going to look a lot nicer when your prospects land on your page. So the final change we need to make to this panel to have it looking like presentable for a live page is we want to just make the background a bit transparent. These are obviously design preferences. You don't have to set it up like this, but this is how I think looks best in this example. And it's a good way to show off more of our background and color features. So we're back in the background section of the element properties. And instead of selecting a solid color, we're going to use the transparency bar on the right hand side to make the background a little bit see-through. So as you can see, again with the color, it's changing that live. So all the way down here, I can't read the text, so we don't want it that low. But if we bring it up to around 70%, you can see after the RGB values, it's got 0.7. So you can type it in here if you want as well. Like so, if you take it to 0.75, it changes slightly. We'll have 0.7. That looks quite nice. And then lastly, we want to add our borders to this panel. So we've got a couple options here. We've got our border radius, which is the one we want to put into effect, and that's going to give these rounded edges. You can put a border color with, width to it, like so, but I don't think that looks very nice. So we'll leave that one blank, and we'll focus on the radius. So you can choose to edit them individually if you want to. If you want to have different borders sizes for different corners, or just the bottom right and the bottom left, you can do it like that. But we want them all to be the same. So we're going to hit this toggle, and that means it's one radius for all corners. And as you can see, you can either do it by the arrows or you can type in your value. So I'll just give it a 20 radius. That looks quite nice. And for the desktop page, the last thing we need to do is add a privacy policy link to our footer. And once we've done that, the desktop version of our opt-in page is pretty much finished. The only thing we'll need to do is add our form to it, but we'll do that once we've built our thank you page. And before we build the thank you page, I will show you the mobile editor. So let's just get this text element added in. We'll align it to page center, and we'll make sure that it's center aligned as well. And then we'll just type privacy policy. And as you can see, it's using our default text styles that we set up earlier. So now we want to add a hyperlink to this text so that when someone clicks on it, they're taken to our privacy policy page. So hit the hyperlink button here, and then you type in your link. So I'm just going to use Convertri's privacy policy page. But if you have your own, you can obviously type that in here. That's up to you completely. And then you've got these options. This pass on URL parameters isn't relevant for this at all. Opening new tab, however, is extremely important for this part of the page. And you want this selected purely because you don't want someone to be able to click away from your page and get distracted from opting in. So if you have it to not opening a new tab, once they click privacy policy, this page is going to be closed, which means their attention is not going to be on your opt-in page. So opening a new tab is exactly what you want so that someone can click this and not get taken away. They can simply go back to your sales page afterwards. So that is very important. So we'll hit save, and now our desktop page is looking great. This is all done now. We just need to go to our mobile editor and make sure the mobile version of the page is all sorted. So go to the top right hand corner and click mobile, and this is going to open the mobile page, as you can see here. Now, as you can see on screen, Convertri's done a pretty amazing job of building this for us, if I say so myself. It's pretty much exactly the same as it is on desktop, but obviously it's been restructured for a mobile page, and this is obviously makes your life a lot easier. There is so much mobile traffic these days, so having a good working mobile version is so important, and that's why Convertri's feature of automatic mobilization is extremely useful. Now, you're not limited to this, so don't worry. If you want to make changes for your mobile version, you can. For example, let's say you wanted to swap around your heading text and your main text. You simply drag it down, select your main text and pull it up like so, and then these changes are only applied to your mobile page. So even though you've edited the way it is structured and laid out, if you go back to desktop, you'll see it hasn't actually changed anything at all. So you can have separate versions. So changes you make on the mobile page only apply to the mobile page, which is obviously really useful as well. And if you make a change and you're not happy with it, you simply have to click this remobilize button up here. So let's say you've got a large page. This one's obviously quite small, and you've made loads of changes and you really don't like them, and you just want to go back to the original Convertri version. You hit remobilize all, and it will put it back to exactly how it was before you made the changes, which is obviously really useful if you want to have a little play around yourself. So that is our opt-in page done, guys. I'm going to save that now, and I'm going to come out of this page. We're done with the opt-in page for now, so I'll exit out of that. And the next thing we want to do is create our thank you page. So to do that, you need to, you can either make a new page like we did at the start, but we're not going to do that here. We're going to actually clone our opt-in page. And the reason being is that we want the page to be consistent with our opt-in page. We want it to look pretty similar. We want the same background images, the same style, because obviously you want some congruence within your funnel. Otherwise, your users are going to be a bit confused. They're going to think, oh, is this actually the right page? You want it to look similar. So it's pretty important that you have some sort of congruence throughout that. So you hit the three-dot menu on the top right of the page card and then click More. And this is going to give you the option to clone your page. So we hit clone. Again, you're going to be prompted to name it, so we'll call it thank you. And you have an exact copy of the page we've just made. Now, obviously, we're going to need to make some changes, which is why we'll go into the editor and do that now. Okay, so we are in our thank you page editor, and it's no different. It's the exact same page editor. It's just for our thank you page. So as you can see, we've got the exact page copy here. We obviously want to make some changes, so we'll get to that right away. We're going to remove these form elements. We don't need email or first name anymore. They've already entered their details. They'll already have been added to your autoresponder. All you need to keep is the download button. And we can change this text as well. So we'll just change it to something like click the button below to download our guide to 7 slimming without starving. Like so. And then we can again reshuffle all of this so that it looks nice and neat. And we'll just shift this panel up like so. And then we'll move this to the middle of the page. So it's at the center of the attention. Okay, so the next thing we need to do, the main thing that we need to do on our thank you page is add in our lead magnet. Now you'll notice that we've got the download button the same as the other page. That's because obviously you want the download to be, you want it to say download because that's what they're going to do. So what you want to make sure you've changed though is your button settings. So when you add it on from the Form Elements tab as a submit button, the mode will automatically be set to sign up. And this is the mode that you use if you're setting up a form like we're about to do on our opt-in page. But for a download, you want it to be set to download. Like so. And this will allow you to upload your file. So to do this, you click select file, and then you can see it's a pretty similar image modal to our images modal. This is your file library. It contains all the files you've uploaded. And if you want to upload something new, you click upload in the top right again. Now I've already got mine here, so I can add it straight away. You'll notice that we've got this message here. Individual files are limited to 40 megabytes, and that is basically the maximum file size you can upload to Convertri. Now, if you've got a file that is larger than this that you want people to be able to download, what you can do is upload it to somewhere like Amazon S3, get it self-hosted as a link, and then you can change the button mode to link and put that link in the box. And then once they click that, it will take them to that page where they can then download it or access it from the link. So if you do have a larger file size, don't worry about that. But we've obviously got ours here, which is fine. So I'll select that and add it in there. And I've got a question in from Randy who's asking, can we design the opt-in page so that when you click download, it starts the download and they don't have to click again on the thank you page? Now, if you did just want people to go to a page and download it, you could obviously do that, but they won't then be able to opt in to your form because the button isn't going to add them to your form. So you need to have it redirecting to a thank you page so that then they can click it. If you want it to seem a little bit less like confusing, if you think that the word download on your opt-in form is maybe misleading them, you can obviously change that. It's completely up to you. But this is probably the best way to set it out so that they've got a page where they know they've been added to a list and then they can download it from here. So one last thing we'll do is we'll change the background color of this. We'll give it like a greeny color, just so it's a little bit different to our opt-in page. And I should mention as well, before we publish the page, in our button settings for download, we've got this option here, which is force download on click. And basically, If you turn that on, when someone clicks this, it will automatically download the file to their computer. I'll leave it off though, just because I think it's a better option for it to then open in a window for them to download for themselves. They might want to have a look at it before downloading it, so I just leave that off. But that is a personal preference, completely up to you guys. Okay, so this is our thank you page. It is completely finished now. We can publish this and we'll set the path to just be thank you. And that page is now live. So the last thing we need to do then is go back to our opt-in page. So we'll hit X and go into the opt-in page, and we need to set up our form so that when someone fills out the form, they are added to our autoresponder list. And that way you've got their email, then you can send them marketing emails, follow-up emails, and you've basically got them as a lead, which is the most important thing. That is the purpose of this funnel. So we're in our opt-in page. You can see we've got our form set up, but we need to configure it to our autoresponder of choice. So you hit Forms in the top toolbar and then click Autoresponders, and you can see we've got this list here of all the different autoresponder services that you can integrate to. So I'm going to be using MailChimp, but if say you're using GetResponse, Aweber, any of the others, that's up to you, but this is just the one that I've got set up for the demo. So then search for target. This is going to be your lists that you've set up in your autoresponder. So you select the list, and then you can see you've got the fields here. So these are the fields that are on your page, and you need the type that's set up in your form menu to match the field type that's set to the element. Now, the fixed field for MailChimp is email, so you have to have an email field on your page, and then any of the others are personal choice. So we'll leave that like so. And then you've got your thank you page here. So you'll need to type in your thank you page URL. Now, if I'd have actually set my arrow, I'd be able to select it from the drop down. So I'll just show you that now. Actually, it's quite a useful time-saving thing. So you'll see there I would have had to type it in. If before I go back to my opt-in page or just in my funnel menu, I use this arrow here and drag it like so to the thank you page, what that is going to do is when I go back into my forms and try and set the thank you page, because Convertri has understood that opt-in leads to thank you, it's going to give it as a suggestion. So we'll just set this up again. And you can see here, it's automatically filled that out. And if we had more arrows coming off our opt-in page to more pages, it would be set up. They would be set there in the list. Okay, so we've got that set up now. We want it to redirect, so we'll leave that untoggled. And that is now set up, and I'll just show you what I mean about the fields matching. So on first name, form field settings in your element properties, the field type is set to first name, and that is what was set up in our form menu. And the same with email, which we've got set to required because we want them to have an email address. We'll set first name required as well because it is nice to get people's names. Okay, so that is all set up now. That is saved, and we can publish that page, and I'll call that opt-in. And we now have a live lead funnel that is fully working. If any of you guys want to go and check it out, you can. I'll view the page. You can see how quickly it loaded there, even with this huge high quality image, really fast loading speeds. And you can just simply enter your details and get the lead magnet and see how it works. So that is the lead funnel demo completed, guys. Has anyone got any questions about any of that? Anything they want me to just go over again before we go on to the tips and tricks section of the demo? Okay, I'm just letting the questions come in, guys, and then I'll get to answering them. So let's start with someone who's asked, is there an affiliate program for Convertri? Now, there is a built-in affiliate program in Convertri, which I can show you now. It's fairly simple to be involved in. If you have an account, you basically go to your affiliate menu here, and you are given an affiliate link that if you give to someone and they sign up through that link, you get a 30% commission. Now, you have to set up your PayPal email, as you can see here. So in the settings, and once you've done that, you'll be paid your commission on any signups you get through this link. And someone's asking if they're selling multiple products, one product per funnel, should all the funnels be uniform? I'm not quite sure what you mean by that. Do you mean should they all be the same, like look the same? If that's the case, then no, it's completely up to you. They don't have to look the same. They can obviously be different in styles depending on the product. That's completely a personal choice. I'm glad you enjoyed the explanation, Elise. And Ronnie's asking, adding opt-in people, so people have opted into your autoresponder list for future communication. Does that happen automatically? Yeah, that will basically be done by your autoresponder service. Once you've set up your list, if they're added to that list, you can then target them in the future. They'll be stored in that in your service, so you've got their email then, and you can either set up automatic responses or weekly emails. Obviously, it depends how you want to do that. But I'd recommend looking into your specific autoresponder software for more information on that. But yeah, that will pretty much happen automatically depending on how you've got it set up. Yeah, there will be a copy of this training. There'll be a replay that will go live probably the start of next week, Monday or Tuesday. And I'll show you where you can find that actually. So in the knowledge base, getting started webinars, this is where it will be uploaded. So I'll put that in the chat. You guys should all be able to see that there now. And these are all the ones we've done in the past. And Jerry's asking about the menu. Oh yeah, so we wanted to show the menu feature off, didn't we? Okay, so let's go back to our campaign. Getting started, and I'll show you that quickly before we move on to the editor tips and tricks. And don't worry guys, if you've got more questions, I'll get them covered at the end. We'll just do this last one about the menus, and then we'll move on to the editor tips and tricks. So in the elements tray, you can see here we've got this menu feature, and it gives you a great choice of options. You don't have to have it set to other links. You can have it set to images or items on your page. So you can see here you've got your items. So these are basically going to be your headings. So let's say you had heading 1, and then we wanted this one to be a link to a contact page, and this one we just wanted to be like a sub menu, which basically gives you another menu. So it's a drop down within the menu basically. So then once you've created your menu items, you can see you've got these options here. So item type, you've either got link, internal link, or submenu. So let's say you wanted it to be an internal link. Now we haven't actually named any of our elements on this page, but if we were to name privacy policy, so we selected that image, general properties, and we've given it a name of, we'll just say PP. And we go back to our menu items, internal link. You can see there that element has now appeared. We set that. So now when we publish this and saved it, if we click that menu option, it will drive down to that part of the page. It probably won't do it as a great example in this one because the page isn't that long, but that's basically what the internal link option is. The link option is obviously pretty straightforward. You type your link in here. Let's just do convertri.com. And if you click on that one, it will take you there. And submenu, again, it's pretty self-explanatory. You set it to your submenu, and then you get to add more items. So you could add a link or an internal link. And basically, it's just a menu within a menu. So that's quite useful. if you want to have multiple menus on your page. So I'll publish that for you now and just show you how it works in person. So we view the page. You can see heading 1 it's dragged us down slightly to that element. As I said, this page isn't that long, so it won't show that to full effect. Contact is going to take us to Convertri's website because that's the link that I set, and submenu is going to drop down like so. And you do have loads of design customization options. You can obviously change the background color, the text color, and we have also got a load of pre-built menu skins. So you can see here menu skin. If we want to change this, these are the pre-built ones. Let's say we wanted mint. It's quite cool. You can see it's got nice on mouse over features like so. So that's our menu element, guys. And as I said, now we'll go on to the tips and tricks part of the demo. And then after that, we can finish off with any other questions that you guys have got. So I've got my page here. This is a Convertri template. This is all one of our pre-built pages, and there are a few things wrong with it when it comes to how it's built in terms of when it will mobilize. So we've done that deliberately so I can show you that as part of this demo. So in this section, I'm going to show you a few things that I find really useful when I'm designing pages and that I think will benefit you guys as you go through the process of building out your own pages and getting used to Convertri as a software. The first of these is something pretty simple, and it's about turning on your element outline. So you hit display on this top toolbar and then toggle element outlines on. That is going to give you these hot pink lines around each and every element on your page. And the reason I find this useful is because it basically shows you where each element starts and finishes. So if you want to select, for example, this text, you know that if you click outside of these pink lines, you're not going to be selecting it. So with the outlines, it's just a lot easier. You know where you are on the page, you know what element you're hovered over, what one you're selecting, etc. So I definitely recommend turning those on when you load up Convertri, or when you load up the page editor. It's going to make things a lot easier for you. Now, the next thing that we want to show you is basically removing a whole section on the page. So let's say you're using a template, one of our pre-built templates, but you don't actually want one part of the page. So let's take this menu section here. You don't want this on the page anymore. Instead of having to click on each element and delete them all one by one like so, you can actually just select this backing panel. And as that's containing all these elements, if you select that and then hit delete on your keyboard, that will get rid of the whole section for you nice and easily. You can see now we've got this white space on the page. And that nicely takes us on to our next shortcut. So we've got the white space here. We've just removed the section. Now, what are we going to do about this white space? We don't want to have to drag the whole page up one by one. That would take us absolutely ages. Instead, we can select the element that is below the white space. So in this case, it's our white backing panel for the About section. And then we simply hit Remove White Space Above from this menu. And that is going to neatly snap this element up to the next one above it. So you can see now the white space has gone. We've now got a page that flows seamlessly from one section to the next, even though we've just removed the big chunk. So that's obviously really useful. If you're taking out a large part of the page, it will clear that white space for you in one click of a button. So we've done that now, but let's say on the flip side of that, you want to create space on the page. Let's say you're using a template and you actually want to make a bit of space to add another section. Well, you can do that with our keyboard shortcut that we like to call Shift and Drag. So let's say we want that bit of white space back. We're selecting this element as this is the one we want to move. Instead of moving all of these elements down one by one and having to redesign the whole page, we just click this one, the one that's we want the space to appear above, hold Shift on our keyboard, and then drag it down. You can see the space is appearing, and all of this is moving down, and it's actually moved the whole page down as well. So all of the page, because we've held shift, have been nudged down just because we've moved this one element, which is obviously useful because we haven't had to do it one by one, which can be really tedious. So that's a great feature. That will save you loads of time. And that is the first of our keyboard shortcuts. The next one is Alt Drag, and this is basically the same as our clone button up here. So in this case, we select the element that we want to clone, and we click Alt or hold Alt on our keyboard and then just drag it. And like so, it has created an exact copy, and it's coming straight out of the element. It's just dragging it straight out and splitting it in two. We've now got a copy of that. So you don't have to, let's say you wanted to clone this button here, this image, instead of selecting it and then having to scroll back up, you can just do Alt Drag like so, and it will clone it, which is obviously time saving. Every second helps when you're designing a page, so it's really useful to use some of those shortcuts, and I certainly do when I'm building my pages, so I would recommend that you guys try them as well. And the last thing that I want to show you before we get into our explanation of how to make a page which mobilizes well is some more of our alignment tools, because I think these are really useful when you're building pages with a lot of elements. They allow you to just save so much time. So I'm going to show you how we can sort out these messy images so that they're nice and neatly aligned. So we're adding a panel, and we're doing this so that they're all contained within it. So we've added it. At the moment, it's in front of these images. So we're going to use the ordering tools. So we'll send it to the back and then bring it forward so it's sat behind them. And as you can see, they're all now contained. So we select the backing panel, and we're using the alignment tools. So we'll hit the drop down arrow. And again, we're going to use this time, instead of center align, because that's for vertical, we're going to click middle align so that they're horizontally in the middle, like so. And then once we've done that, we're going to use the justify horizontally tool, and that will put even space between all of the images, just like with our form, like so. So you can see now we've got a nice even amount of space in between all of these. You could obviously do that by manually by eye, but one, you're probably going to need pretty good eyesight to get it pitch perfect, and two, it's probably going to take you quite a while to sit there and fiddle around getting them all equally laid out. So luckily we've got these alignment tools that can do all of that for you at just the click of one button, which is obviously really useful. Okay, so moving on now to what is my favorite part of the entire webinar, what is, I think, the most important part of the webinar today, and will probably save you the most time when you're building out your pages. And that is understanding how the mobile algorithm works so that you can build a page in the desktop editor like so that mobilizes well. So you'll remember at the start of this, when I opened this page, I said it wasn't built perfectly for mobilization, and I'll show you what I mean by that. So if we go to the mobile page, you can see it's dragged me down to the bottom, so I'll just scroll up for you. You can see that these three elements here, bread, pastry, and coffee, have been added to the mobile page one after the other, and similarly with this text. So on the desktop page, you'll notice it goes bread, and then obviously the text describing that is underneath it, because your users want to be able to read about bread or pastry or coffee or whatever is on your page. They don't want to be looking at it going bread, pastry, coffee, and then reading about bread, pastry, and coffee. They want to read about them individually. Now, the reason this has happened is because these elements aren't contained. Now, what I mean by that is they aren't they're laid out on the page in a way that means they're read by Convertri's mobile algorithm separately. So the way it works is Convertri's mobile algorithm reads things on the page from left to right, from top to bottom. So it's hit the logo element first, then we are open, then the image. So you'll see it's added these three things first, and then it's read bread, pastry, and coffee. And that's why they're added to the mobile page in that order. Now, obviously, we want it to read both of these together. And to do that, we need to make them contained. So we're using our panels again, and we add one to our page, and this is how we will get Convertri to read it in that manner. So when you're building a page, it's really worth keeping in mind, if you want things to display as they are on desktop in that order, you want a backing panel to be used. So again, we'll send it to back, bring it forward, and we'll do the same for these two. And lastly, for our coffee one. Like so, and these are now all contained, so we'll send it to the back. So now when we go to our mobile page, you'll notice that it has displayed them all together like so, which is exactly how we want them to be displayed. And this is going to save you time, because when you go to your mobile page, you don't have to reorder these elements. They're already in the manner that you want them to be for when you're publishing a mobile page. So now when someone reads it, they can read about bread in the bread section. They can read about pastry after the pastry heading. That is obviously something that's really important, because mobile pages these days are so important when you're trying to sell things. Most of the traffic now is through mobile. So having that to be consistent with your desktop page is really, really important. So bear that in mind when you're building your pages, guys, that if you want things to be displayed together, like in this example, bread and the text, you need it to be contained with a panel. You can obviously edit your panel, so you don't want it to look grey because that looks a bit weird. You can change the background to be white, or you could say it was set to grey and you just wanted it to be transparent. You can do that like so. You can edit it however you want, but obviously just remember using panels is really important and really time saving in terms of the mobile editor. So that is going to finish us off then for today, guys. That is the demo completed. We've built ourselves a lead funnel from start to finish, and we've shown you all my favorite tips and tricks in the editor, as well as showing you guys how to mobilize, or how to build a page that mobilizes well, which, as I said, is, in my opinion, one of the most important things in Convertri. So has anyone then got any questions about anything that I've shown you today, anything in the editor tips and tricks section, or anything about Convertri in general? If you've got a question, feel free, now is your time to ask us. I'm just going to have a swig of water while I let you guys have a think if there's anything that you want to ask. You're very welcome, guys. Ronnie and Louis, thank you for the kind words. Yeah, I think that yoga girl definitely needs some sort of royalties for this show. She seems to be making an appearance regularly. We'll have to try and hook her up there. And we've got a question in from Elizabeth, and she's asking us, can we integrate shopping cart system into the page for product purchases? And if so, which ones? Yeah, we do have two carts built in. So if you go to account and integrations, we've got payment processors, we've got Stripe, and we've got PayPal, and we have also got Convertri's own checkout system that's built in. Now you'll need to have Stripe or PayPal integrated for that to work, and then you can use Convertri's cart system, the modal checkout feature, which basically allows you to sell products on Convertri. So as long as you've got Stripe or PayPal integrated, or both if you want to, you'll be able to sell your products on your page. So let's just show you where you can set that up. So if we go just back to our opt-in page, just for the example's sake, and where you see forms, you hit products. If you've built your own product already in Convertri, you can just choose one of these, like so, save and close, and then you'll need a button on the page to open the checkout. So it would be a submit button, but you'd need to change the mode to open checkout, and I'll just show you our modal cart feature now. Okay, we need to add these because we've got that required. So loading our checkout, here we go. This is our built-in checkout. You can edit it so you can have more information required, and you can see here, this is what our Stripe integration's for, and this is what our PayPal integration's for. And I'll drop you in the chat a bit more detailed explanation of our modal checkout. So if you want to check that out, you can. So that's our cart system, built-in cart system. And can you build, someone's asking, can you build a website in Convertri or just funnels? Yeah, you can build a website as well. Convertri isn't made for building especially large sites. So we'd recommend keeping it to probably like 10 pages or less if you want to make a website. But with our menu feature, as I showed earlier, you can obviously have this linking to other pages. So if you wanted to have, let me just show you in here. If you wanted to have like, say this was a home page, this was an about page, this was a contact page, and you wanted to have that menu element on all three of those pages, and then you could link them all together like so with the menu element. So you definitely can get a website effect in Convertri, not just funnels, but it is primarily a funnel builder. Yeah, Nora's asking if you can share these links around of the videos. Yeah, feel free. As I said, obviously we'll have a replay up, so I've put that in the chat for you guys, and our help.convertri.com is our knowledge base. These videos are for everyone. You don't have to be a subscriber. If you want to have a look through before you make a purchase, make your subscription purchase to see a little bit more about it, then obviously you can get some more in detailed knowledge about our different features, and that's help.convertri.com. No problem, Elizabeth, you're welcome. Is there any more questions then before we say goodbye for the day? If there's anything that you guys haven't thought of that might pop into your head later this evening or tomorrow, whenever you've got Convertri in your mind, which I hope is always, you can email us anytime at support@convertri.com, or you can join our Facebook group, which is the Convertri Clubhouse. If you search Convertri Clubhouse on Facebook, you can request to join that, and we always do our accept all requests on each morning. So if you request it and you don't get let in straight away, don't worry. We'll get that sorted in the morning, and that's UK time. So it might be while you guys are asleep if some of you are in America, but we do accept all requests. Yeah, Nora's asking, is it optimal for e-commerce? As I've shown you there, we've got our cart system. You can see the cart menu here, and this is where you create your products. So, it is really built for that as well. It's got great e-commerce features. We've added PayPal recently, which is obviously a massive bonus now, so people can check out using PayPal. So we can definitely use Convertri for e-commerce. It has loads of e-commerce features you can see here. Adding your products, creating product groups so you can have more than one item for people to select from. So it's definitely multi-purpose in that sense. No problem, guys. It's great to see that you guys have enjoyed the webinar. So on that note then, we've answered quite a few questions today. And as I said, if any of you think of anything in the meantime before next week, 2 weeks time, or just when you're building your pages, feel free to drop us an email, support@convertri.com, and we'll be sure to get back to you as soon as possible. I'm glad that you've all enjoyed it then, and I will bid you all a good evening or good day wherever you guys are coming from, and I will be sure to see you all again soon. Thank you very much, guys, and take care.